Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, I've got a very rare game for you guys where I'm actually playing Typhoon Carry, which is something that, you generally just don't see that much. I think Typhoon is not that prevalent and it's hard to get into. And then two, it's a unit that I just personally don't play all that much. Not necessarily one of my favorite, but this game, we managed to get it done. I do start with Quick Supply here, Steel Ball, Crawler, and my opponent starts with Sledgehammers and Marksman. This is not a great matchup in the long run. I think in the early game you can have some chances, but Sledgehammers are always very, very good at stalling the Steel Balls. I like to start with Hounds. I think most of you will know that by now. I think they perform quite well, especially on aggro, and they skill very nicely with the Mech Rage, able to basically deal with any type of chaff on the ground that they can face, whether it is crawlers, fangs. Fang shield, loose formation. If you've got some scaled hounds with the Mech Rage, they tend to just do better than anything else, really, as a singular chaff gear unit if you don't pair it with anything else. Now, looks like my opponent was setting up for some aggro, but he might end up going defensively after all. Yeah, I think he's second-guessing himself here, going to go for a more defensive posture instead. But with how far away he is, I think I should do quite well here. Typically, I prefer having the Sledgehammers more inside as the defender, because then this Sledgehammer pack can kind of like move over. Whereas now it will as well, because I've got this middle crawler, but it's very, very far from the fight, right? So I'll likely like get to the tower before this Sledgehammer even gets to shoot. And you can see like they're still moving. I get quite fortunate with the gamble on the Marksman there, two on the right side, so they're not really involved. And yeah, you can see only now the Sledgehammers start doing something, but we're going to get that tower. And now the Sledgehammers, Fangs, and Marksman have nicely moved over for us to deal with during the debuff. And that will yield a very nice round 1 win. Quite happy here with the setup. I think it's worked out well for us, and I should be able to get quite some stuff done. Opponent is a missile specialist, by the way. I didn't really play around that, I will say. Crawlers and Steel Balls are right behind one another, so kind of going on autopilot there, but maybe I should have thought about that and spaced them a bit differently. Now, round number 2, Photon Emission. Oh, again, we get this visual bug. It is the intensive training, of course, picked up here for my opponent. I decided to go for the Wasp Swarm because I didn't want to get debuffed, and I thought my opponents, well, could go for it, of course. And with my backline being this open, it's hard for me to defend. Apologies. Still have a bit of a cough there. Hard for me to defend. And yeah, just going to use the spell myself. Put some crawlers in the back to distract. Also use some missiles. That'll be that. I am a quick supply specialist, so now I'm deciding to use my resources to grab myself a Wraith. Since this Marksman was all the way on the outside, or on the inside rather, of the tower, I thought I could definitely approach it from this angle and be somewhat safe. And so that is what we're going to do. Opponent here just buys more arc lights and decides to already level up an arc, but doesn't grab the level. And let's see how this goes. If we can get rid of the Marksman, then we'll just win by default. We've got the Wasps coming in as well, which, even though they didn't really have to defend anything, they should be quite useful as air chaff this early on against the Marksman. Steel Ball's still alive. Not quite going for the tower yet, so a decent setup here from my opponent. Utilizing the sledges very well. And the Marksman, will it be able to deal with the enemy units? We'll go for the Fangs. But sadly starts to chase Sledgehammers, and that means it won't quite be able to get rid of this Marksman, sadly. So yeah, bit of an unfortunate end of round development there, but we still get rid of most of the enemy units. Round number 3, both of us pick up the laser sight quite rapidly. Opponent still has a missile strike available, and I am chugging that right on top of the Wraith, of course. Just going to go for some more crawlers here, trying to put some on the shallow flank, making sure that a Marksman that could be added here on the outside of the tower doesn't insta-lock the Wraith. And we're going to go for the same mobile beacon. At this point, I should start thinking somewhat about the right side tower, and so we do level it. We also have a go at his right tower by positioning a crawler there on the flank. Typically, I would expect my opponent here to reinforce the left side, which often means that they kind of neglect whatever is going on the right side of the board. Crawler being added on my left middle flank as well, but with the beacon, I should be completely fine. A couple hounds will turn. The crawler should catch up. We can deal with that the round after this. Ranged Arclight now being picked up first. Another marksman as well on the outside of the tower, so I'm happy I put this crawler there. But opponent really prioritizing chaff clear first and foremost, which I think is a decent idea. Also sells out of the sledgehammers. Like, he doesn't really have much chaff, I will say. So this Wraith doesn't necessarily have that many things to shoot at. Sadly, though, the steel ball's not really managing to level just yet. So they seem to be quite squishy, going down to those unleveled marksmen and unleveled arclights. And looks like... okay, we will have the tower debuff there coming in at the right time. Wraith should be able to pick up a tower debuff itself. And hopefully there'll be enough to get rid of these marksmen. Crawler's now coming in, getting rid of the fangs. We do kill the marksman. And with that, I think we even managed to pick up a level on the Wraith. Yep, there we go. Fantastic development so far. And after we lose round 2 in a bit of an unfortunate fashion, this time around, it is our turn to get the round win. Wraith level there, very, very nice, especially against the unleveled marksman. But here we have Overlord and triple Phoenix as well, which is a little bit scary into this Wraith that I have. And I decided to go for the Wasps because I didn't think my opponent would really have an answer to that. Expecting him to pick up something like the Phoenixes or indeed the Overlord as a response to both the Steel Balls and the Wraith. And I'm gonna try and start attacking the right side of the board here. We'll pick up the level on the Wraith, but for now, not quite picking up that range just yet. Too expensive. And as we pick up another Crawler here, and I'm starting to sell out of Steel Balls, somewhat shifting our priorities, with the right side tower being rather open. It seems like the opponent also has an idea in mind to grab our tower, but we're not going to let that happen. Wasps and the Wraith here should be plenty with the Crawler in front to distract. Arclight there on the flank, and we decide to put a deep Crawler flank as well, hoping to distract this marksman and the fangs. And the opponent here went for the Sabertooth, which could be annoying. I mean, if the Steel Balls lock on, typically I don't consider Sabertooth to be very good into the Steel Balls, but because they're so low level and the Saber is so high level, I kind of doubt that we'll be able to get a good lock. Either way, no real answer to the Wasps as we expected. And yeah, Steel Balls are simply going to be crumbling there. Crawlers will get in, but the Arclight, okay, we do actually manage to take it down. So the Crawler's having a good time. We get the debuff. And now we've got more Crawlers coming in, taking down that marksman. And the Wraith at level 2 will be able to tank for quite some time. Still, though, I don't expect this to work forever. As, well, Wasps typically are somewhat easy to deal with. But at least we've managed to chunk our opponent for quite a bit. And now, next round, both of us immediately picking up that improved firepower control system. And going for the range here on that Wraith. Steel Ball in front of the Arclight, trying to make sure that it kind of gets stuck. I was hoping that these Crawlers at level 2 would be able to get in while this was stuck and kill the Arclight and maybe even get the tower. Opponent immediately respects the Wasps, of course, goes for double Mustang recruit with the range. I do decide to keep my Steel Balls. They haven't leveled, sadly. They are missing 6 experience. But again, They should do quite well into the Saber, kind of adjusting the mobile beacon here to hopefully run into the Saber-tooth. And if we can get some locks, it'll definitely help take down this monster. But it actually gets sold, which I was somewhat surprised about, since, well, it did go down relatively easily last round, but it was mostly because of the air units. I think, looking at my board, opponent maybe could have realized that my DPS wasn't the highest. It was worth a lot of money, though. Let's see what he decides to go for, or buy with that money. Looks like it's going to be oil, bunch of tower enhancements there, but yeah, nothing too specific, just a shield and some tower levels, but I think it would have been better for him to keep that. Oh, good missile there, though. We'll take down my Wasps, of course, from the missile specialist. And the shield actually looks to be quite a good purchase as well. As my Wraith gets completely stuck, we'll go down to the marksman. And left side, that Wraith is doing what it can. But I'm not too sure it'll be able to win against all of the remaining units. We'll get the debuff though. And as it finishes the mobile beacon, it should be able to get these arc lights as well. But in the meantime, the Mustang's working away at my level 2 tower, and I'm moving on to the level 1 tower. And with 9 seconds of debuff and still 2 marksmen left alive, I highly doubt that we'll be able to survive this. Yeah, look at the damage from the Mustangs there coming in. We do clean up a decent bit, but we will take a little bit of damage as we enter round number 6. And here, round number 6, we get the Typhoons. And I think to myself, okay, it's going to be quite hard for me to get in here with this Wraith from the looks of it. And I was expecting my opponent to grab the anti-air tech on the marksman, which he does. And so I think, okay, let's be proactive. Let's sell this Wraith because it was level 1 and not really doing anything. And let's try and transition this into the Typhoons. And this is something that you can often do with something like the Typhoon drop or the high-level Scorpion drop, where it's just so high level that it can carry the entire round at that point. And that is especially the case when you have a damage amplification item like the improved firepower. So we retrieve that, put this Typhoon on the flank, and just say, well, I'm not too sure that you'll be able to purchase much that'll be able to deal with this when it's so far ahead of the curve. And we even elite recruit 2 more Typhoons on the right side, completely switching our board and also making sure that this anti-air tech is somewhat useless on the marksman. And now we're going for a carry Typhoon board. Mech Rage first will give 50% attack. And I also decided to mobile beacon back these Wasps, I guess correctly, as he went for the exact same pack as he did last round. And yeah, I do have this level 3 Wraith on the left side, but with the AA, it seems to get locked on quite early as oil has been set on fire now. And yeah, that Wraith, very unhappy. I'll probably just sell that as well next round. And maybe we'll even be able to get into something like the homing missiles. So left side here is winning for my opponent, but a lot of his stuff seems to be burning. Oh, it won't quite die though. But I still have this big Typhoon pack moving in, and it's practically full health. Take down the shield. You take down the tower. And then all that's left is this Vulcan, but it doesn't have any techs, and so the Typhoons will come out ahead. Still, one of them will go down. And here we have round number 7. As I decide to pick up another item with a portable shield. This is also quite a good item on Typhoons. And yeah, we sell the Wraith, retrieve that item as well. Laser sight now, as all of our level Typhoons have gotten an item for themselves. This Typhoon on the flank even managed to level, which is quite a surprise, because it's not very easy to do on the round that it comes out when it's already level 3. And here, yeah, we just go for the homing missiles and we elite recruit 3 more Typhoons. Trying to somewhat attack the left side of the board here. Vulcan again gets sold. An opponent now going into multi-melter, which I think is a good response, but probably needs the range, which he will get also. And yeah, just fully committing onto the right side here, perhaps not expecting a push on the left side, which will be coming in. And I have to imagine these Typhoons do beat these smaller units. Looks like I am being a little bit conservative here, not fully trusting what's happening on the flank and putting a Typhoon in the back in case I get flanked by an air unit. And again here, moving back some Wasps, trying to avoid, one, the Mustangs, and two, deal with the potential flank. Yeah, you can see here the Typhoons are doing a fantastic job, not caring too much about that shield that'll go down very quickly. And as they're all locked onto the level 1 melting points, they're simply going to take them down. One of my Typhoons bites the dust, but all of the other ones are still alive. And on the left side here, the Typhoons will simply be walking in as if it's nothing. And that'll be a lot of damage going the way of my opponent, now down to 684 hit points. Round number 8, we get Photon Emission, which looks like a pretty powerful spell. I will pick it and use it on the right side, catching 3 of the Typhoons here, just making them more tanky and also preventing potential EMP, though I wasn't expecting that to be used. We're now selling out of the Wasp because there are a bunch of high-level Mustangs there, and I can use the money. And then 2, we're trying to avoid the missile strike as well. And at this point, I'm just thinking, well, I've already double-teched. I might as well buy more Typhoons. If this game does end up going longer, then I have a good reason to click something like the Barrier as my third tech. But we are trying to finish the game here. And yeah, just more Typhoons aimed at the opponent. We'll be going for more Vulcans, repurchasing those, going for the range, realizing that perhaps the chaff gear situation isn't the best. And I even decide to go for a missile interceptor there on the right side, trying to make sure that I don't get slowed down. Now, let's see. How does this end up? I was quite surprised about the Vulcans, I have to say, because my opponent already had arcs, but it can be really quite difficult to deal with this type of aggressive push with only arc lights, since they have a tendency to get stuck on the bigger units. And you can see here the Crawler's annoying that Melter for just about enough time, and as the missiles come back up, that Melter simply vanishes. On the flank, though, our big Typhoon doesn't quite manage to get things done, but we're working away on the right tower, which is only level 2, and 7 seconds of debuff will work quite well. Left side Melter doing a great job, I have to say, but right side has completely collapsed, and now we managed to snipe the left tower as well, move in with our high-level Typhoons from the right side, and pincer in that remaining Melter. And that will mean a swift 8-round win there with a good pivot into the Typhoons. This is not a very common game for me, but I think these type of pivots are. So it's not uncommon, especially on aggro, to try and bait out something, or not even bait out, but realize that your opponent has found a good counter to what you're doing, and then use a drop to pivot into something else. So here, I went for Wraith, and I realized, well, my opponent mostly has kind of tanky units, already has a bunch of marksmen. Seems like things are not working out. I don't have steel balls to pair up with the Wraith either, so just didn't really know what to go with. And I just decided, well, let's cut our losses, since I did range them, but I'm expecting my opponent to go AA, which they do, which kind of evens out, and I get the element of surprise by just completely committing to something different, which is not exactly what you would perhaps expect, right, as the opponent, considering I did invest into the Wraith so much. And we just sell, we retrieve the items, and we go for the Typhoons, which aren't great at level 1, but if you've got the levels, they actually do decently well, as you can see. Going for that mech rage, going for the homing missiles. Barrier would have been a great third tech, but in the end, I didn't need it. So, yeah, here you go. A Typhoon carry video. If you like this, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think. Is Typhoon a unit you like? Is it something you hate? Have you played this before? Let me know. If you want to stay up to date with my latest content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see me playing live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.